Zerner is an undergraduate here at the University of Iowa. She is a senior majoring in psychology. She has had several semesters on our dean's list. She's an honor student. Home is Cary, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Anna has also been a cadet in the ROTC program here at U of I, and she's been an undergraduate research fellow at the Belin-Blank Center. She's also been a member of our summer staff and has been in our regular year staff at the Belin-Blank Center. She has studied abroad in Costa Rica, and she runs the marathon. Do not try to keep up with her. Anna represents the many dimensions of when heart and mind come together. And she is here today to speak in behalf of all the students who are being honored. Anna Zerner.
Thank you, Dr. Clinton. I'd just like to echo the thank yous and the congratulations that have already been said, but it truly is an honor, and you all should be very proud of yourselves. Students, how many of you have ever been asked if you're one of those kids, or if you're really smart? It's funny how cruel those questions can sound sometimes. Having the intelligence and determination that you all have can be both a blessing and a burden. Have you ever been told that someone expected more of you, or that you just must not be trying hard enough? I heard a great analogy about working with gifted students. If you were to go into a shoe store and tell the clerk that you wear a size 7, and he or she brought you a size 6, you wouldn't expect that to fit. If he or she brought you a size 8, you wouldn't expect that to fit either. What about 4 pairs of size 6s? Is that what you're looking for? Of course not. What you need is a size 7. I think it's fair to say that the teacher you invited here today understood that giving you more of something you've outgrown is not the right fit for you. And sometimes, no matter how hard you try, that size 8 isn't the right fit either. Being gifted doesn't mean that everything's going to come easy to you. And if it has so far, maybe you should consider a 7.5. My freshman year of college, I definitely found my size 8. I called my dad almost in tears in fear that I was going to fail the math class I was in. My worry was that my grade would be too low and I wouldn't be accepted into the education program. And sure, I had heard about the statistics on how often the average student changes his or her major. But that's not me. I was not going to be one of them. I was so sure that I would be accepted into the program and on my way to becoming a teacher, and then Calculus 3 stopped me in my tracks. As I was ranting to my dad about how it's not my fault, the professor didn't answer my questions, and what am I going to be if I'm not a teacher, I started thinking maybe I had met my match. Maybe I had found the thing that would stop me from succeeding in my dreams. But then, much to my surprise, my dad said, "Well, I think that would be the best thing for you." What? How is it possible that the crashing of my dreams could be the best thing for me? Well, I'm here to tell you it was not the end of the world. I toughed it out, watched YouTube videos of lectures, struggled on the homework assignments. Ultimately, I took a blow to my pride to see a D on my transcript. But hearing those words that this situation could be the best thing for me resonated in my mind. I'm sure it sounds familiar to you to have this expectation for yourself and to think you need to follow this path that you've laid out for yourself, only to find that taking a detour can open new doors. My junior year of high school, my parents convinced me to apply to the NAES program, despite my initial doubts and reasons for wanting to stay in high school for 4 years. My mom told me the story of when I was young and asked if I could go skydiving. Like any ordinary young child, I was very upset and did not understand why she would deny me of this privilege. At 16, hearing the story, I started thinking about how scary that would be to jump from a plane, especially because I'm scared of heights. But I used this story in my maze application essay, realizing how much I rely on that push and that adrenaline and risk to try new things. The more I thought about the maze program, the more I realized I needed to spend my senior year of high school here at the University of Iowa. I needed to be with people who understood why in first grade I told my teacher, even odd numbers can be divided by 2. That's what fractions are for. And I needed to be with people who understood that 4 size 6s are not the same as 1 size 7. So I left early and came to Iowa City, ready for a challenge and independence, only to find myself a few weeks later calling my parents on a regular basis and very happy that the drive to Illinois takes less than 4 hours. So that brings us back to my call home about my D in calculus. My world had been turned around. What was I going to do with my life? Around the same time, I met a guy who was a few years older than I was, and he told me he was working as a bartender at night and watching movies all day. So I asked him, what are your goals? What are you doing to find out what's next in your life? And he said he didn't know. So I instantly started judging him. How could you sit by and watch your life happen to you? And then I realized I was doing the same thing, aimlessly following this dream I had set a few years ago. So I decided to reanalyze. If not education, what should I major in? I really enjoyed my psychology classes, so I declared a psychology major, became an eye for research fellow at the Belin-Blank Center, tried RTC for a year, trained for that marathon, went skydiving, and decided to run in Costa Rica. And you can call those accomplishments, or you can call me a flake for changing hobbies every other day. Either way, I decided to stop allowing myself to stay in idle. So now here I am, about to graduate college with this vast range of experiences under my belt. But you know what? I still have no idea what I'm going to do with my life, and that is okay. I'm going to apply to jobs and maybe end up back at university going to graduate school. I may not be any more confident in my future than I was when I wrote that essay, but I don't regret the D on my transcript, missing my senior prom, the money I spent in Costa Rica, or any other sacrifices so far. I may not be any more confident of what will happen next in my life, but I'm not going to let life happen to me. My family will tell you I've gone through phases of calling every other week with a new career ambition. School principal, public relations specialist, drug counselor, you name it, I've claimed it as an aspiration. And again, you can call me a flake. But I refuse to simply let I don't know be my answer. I want you all to hold yourselves that expectation, to never stop searching for a new challenge or passion. Keep wiggling your toes, see if you need a better fit. Not because you're one of those kids, but because you want to discover the potential that you have. When Dr. Colangelo emailed me to ask if I would speak at the recognition ceremony, I literally did not believe it. I walked away from my email, I took a shower, came back, made sure I read everything correctly. When it finally sunk in that I would be here in front of these 2,000 eyes today, I started thinking, what would I have to say to a group of such brilliant minds? I don't have any great lesson on how to live your life or secret advice or a story of adversity because I've had a support system hold my hand through everything. What I can tell you about are the experiences I've had so far. One of the greatest of those was the time I spent abroad. So I'd like to read you a short excerpt from a blog while in Costa Rica. I guess this is the leap of faith, or skydiving experience I wanted. When jumping, the security of finally feeling your feet touch solid ground is is reassuring and inviting. But the adrenaline of flying through the air makes you wonder what it would be like to fall forever. Of course, that isn't an option, and after a few steps, you are reminded why you were born with legs and not wings. But the memory of choosing the unknown path and leaving your fears behind can always be tapped into for inspiration when needed. You wouldn't be here today, anxiously awaiting your turn to walk across the stage, if you weren't equipped with a parachute and a plane and open arms cheering you through your takeoff and your landing. It can be terrifying to take the risks that come with these resources, and it can be overwhelming to see a world of opportunities spread out before you. But no matter how well I describe the experience or how much I tell you about boarding the plane, it's not the same as you going out and doing it. I'm not saying to be a doctor because that's what your mom wants, an engineer because that's what your grandpa wants, or a biophysicist because that's what your teacher wants. Be who you are and be what you want, but be the best possible version. Make sure you thank your support team along the way, because without them, the journey would not be the same. I want to thank you all for your time, and students, I'll leave you with this question. Are your shoes too tight?
Thank you, Anna. Dr. Keith Carter is professor and head of the Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences at the University of Iowa, Carter College of Medicine,